Yeah, you know what it is. Hot 97 Funk Flex. Lupe Fiasco's here. So, I didn't get a chance to talk to you when the whole situation was going on with you with your song with Pete Rock. I can remember the way I remember it unfolding is I remember it going online that day, and I remember just a lot of people liking the song. I mean, the record was up my alley, and I guess it triggered something with Pete where I could tell like when he was tweeting, because what was shocking is he doesn't tweet a lot. And he doesn't and he's not much about like the music, but not much about him, CL and of course and Troy. Were you shocked by or were you surprised by his tweets?
It was just like, oh my God, what is he doing? We need to figure this out, so we got all of the parties that was a part of making sure of reaching out initially, the lawyers, this person, that label, this dude, make sure everybody was on the phone to kind of get an idea like, yo, what's the issue? What's wrong? And it was just kind of like, I was hot, my man was hot, and it was the conversation wasn't like yo, let's reconcile and be cool and I love you or nah. It was like,
now this is when you and him spoke?
Yeah,
on the phone.
This is when me and him spoke on the phone. That was either that next day or I think it was that next day. And it was just kind of like, like, yo, man, you got me out here looking crazy.
Was that the first time you and him ever spoke just in general?
Nah.
Oh,
I've met with Peak at the label before.
You know him from prior conversations?
Yeah. Okay. So, but this was the first time that me and him talked specifically about that record.
Gotcha.
Right? Me and him, right? But
so he didn't know you recorded that song, that it existed?
Knew.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
But he didn't hear the lyrics? He heard the song?
No, he didn't hit it. He didn't hit the song.
He just knew you were doing it.
He knew I was doing it. His initial thing was that he had an emotional attachment to the record. This was like November.
Gotcha.
He had an emotional attachment to the record, but Lupe's my man. If Lupe want to rock with it, then cool. And here's the sample information because you're gonna need to clear with Warner Chapel and you're gonna need to do this. So it was like, all right, cool. Lupe has my blessing.
Gotcha.
And then it just kind of went.
What changed it, you think?
That the record had just came out, like it was just out, and he hadn't heard it.
Got you.
Not that he hadn't been informed, credited for it. The publishing was taken care of on whatever he was supposed to do, everything. Because again, it's like you just throwing a record out there, So you think he wanted some creative input on how the song came out? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Because initially he didn't want to do nothing with it.
Gotcha.
He didn't want to be a part of it because it was just kind of like it's too much for me to revisit X, Y, Z. But Lupe got my blessing to do what he wanted to do. Right?
Okay. Now I want to say like into Pete Rock's defense, because I might have just been getting in the music business when that had happened, and it was one of the first tragedies, like in the 90s, and as I remember it too, it was them having fun on tour, and him Troy getting hurt, and of course passing away.
And on that point, honestly, I didn't intentionally. I didn't want to remake Troy. I didn't want to mention. I didn't want to do that because of that. Because I know what the Troy song is about. I know who Troy is through CL Smooth rapping about it on the song, and the way Pete expressed it initially, with it's dear to him, the track and what it means. So I didn't want to remake Troy because Troy's not my man. That's your homie, and I respect him. So I'm not gonna try and say I'm gonna reminisce over you, because it literally saying they reminisce over you is this man's name, right? So I'll leave him to you, and that's how you grieve with it. And I'm not gonna try and reapproach it or reinterpret it or try and leech off that pain. But
how come the internet for 1 minute was saying it was cleared up, and then it said it's not cleared up? That was
because on the way it was being pushed and the way it was being perceived, that's not how it went down. Pete know we reached out to him. He just said, man, I just wish Lupe would have called me direct, right? It's like, okay, I give you that. This is the first time we talked about it, but what is the rest of this? Where's all the rest of this coming from? Because you act like you hadn't talked to 6 people, or we hadn't reached out to your people to get you in the video. And it's like,
and if
when
you would have felt there was an issue, you probably wouldn't have pushed forward like you did push forward.
Right.
Maybe if you felt you knew more information about
right. I
what was
wouldn't.
happening.
It wasn't do or die or die to run with it. You know, it was just kind of the innocent idea came from my partner Chili. He's like, yo, man, we need to put out let's put a spin on a classic hip hop record and bring it to the new generation.
Did you feel like some of the internet and some of the bloggers were giving you a hard time because of your past relationship sometime with them? Well, just bloggers in general.
I think it's that shoot from the hip culture, because I crept upon like a blog, and it was more like a conversation. It was a bunch of people in the studio somewhere, and they do debates, and they debated Lupe Fiasco versus Pete Rock, and everybody had their point of view, and it was just kind of like everybody was shooting from the hip. It's like, but you don't know all the information. You don't know that everybody talked to Pete Rock. You don't know where I went on Sway and actually said what I said. It wasn't because of, a way about the record. It was like, Pete, you got me looking crazy. You see these blogs are going crazy, and then you just going to duck out when you knew. And he said it on the phone. Like, that was whack. It was a crazy thing for me to do. I know I kind of OD'd. It's like, look, just come out and just say, hey, we talked, XYZ prior to that, and it was just me feeling a little ways. And he could have said that I'm feeling emotional about Heavy, and when it dropped, and they hadn't called me and let me listen, but he didn't do that.
And did he ever?
Didn't do that. And he said on the phone, "Man, but if I do that, if I recant, I'm gonna look crazy." Quote. That's like, well, so what? We just supposed to leave it like this? Nah, I'm not doing that, Pete. I rock with you, but I can't respect this, because that's not what happened.